Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. So we've had the final game of the season, and so we've got a full panel tonight to discuss that and the season in general, and what our hopes and expectations are for next season. So let's bring Vic on first of all.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good evening, Vic.
I have no SAS travel
I'm good.
news
How are
this
you?
week. Sorry?
Why is that? They shut? They shut?
Yes. It's all over. It's finished. No more.
It's all over. Okay. So we might as well get the panel right away then, if we've got nothing else to say. So let's bring on Mark and Andrew and James and Anna and Rob.
Hello.
Evening all.
There we go. Full set. Hello. Okay, I will leave you put any comments or questions in the comments box, and we'll get through as many as we can. See you later.
See you later, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. And I don't know about you, but it hasn't sunk in yet that it's the end of this season because we've had 9 and a bit months of it. And it finished on Saturday, as we all know, with a 3-3 draw against Morecambe. Let's get your thoughts on that first and foremost. Mark, I thought it summed up our season in many ways, that game, didn't it?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It did, Vic, because attacking-wise, there was some good moves. Good to see, obviously, Charlie get his 200th goal with a good header and a nice finish later on. And the third goal was a thing of beauty, wasn't it, really? It was a lovely goal. Even then, we probably didn't think we were going to go on to win. And then, of course, it was more kamikaze defending. I'm going to absolve the 2 young lads from that. But Andrew, I think you described the defending as, quote, inert and indifferent. And I think that was probably about right, really. And it's told the story of a team that's conceded 83 goals. 83 goals in League Two. Pathetic. That's the word for it, really. And it was more pathetic defending on Saturday, sadly.
Yeah, I was just looking at the stats, actually. I think I'm right in saying that they conceded 83 in the league, but scored 83 in all competitions. I think that's probably right, Andrew, isn't it? But that third goal was absolutely stunning, wasn't it? And we all sort of went, wow, what's that? It was incredible.
Yeah, no, that was... that feels like as good a team goal as we probably scored all season. I would think just the move for it. But yeah, the rest of it was sort of... kind of fairly classic game 46 and nothing at stake chaos, wasn't it, really? But I think I'd have to agree with Mark. Unfortunately, the defending that you might expect on the last day of the season has probably been there for the vast majority of the season.
It's interesting because Morecambe were all sorts of trouble, weren't they, financially? We kind of expected they might put out a youth team, but I think, Andrew, they had a decent old team out and they made a fist of it.
Yeah, they at least were able to put out a kind of squad of pros, though they mixed it up a bit. And yeah, no, I think I may belabor this point a bit, but I think a lot of respect because most of those players, by all accounts, won't be in contract or they're not in contract now due to various problems and embargoes and so on that Morecambe have got. So they were all taking a risk, really, bar one on their careers by playing. So, I think you respect them a lot and reward a large number of supporters more than I expected to come down from Morecambe for doing that. So I tip the hat to them. It sounds like they're in for quite a rough summer, I think, speaking to their local journalists. So hopefully they emerge under some fresh ownership.
Yeah, all credit to those supporters who made the journey because, as we all know, it's a long old way to Morecambe, especially on the last day of the season when you've nothing to play for, James. But, hey, that's football fans for you, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there was a few comments, wasn't there, on social media that, they basically they sang their hearts out, didn't they, for pretty much the full 90 minutes, which I think, given their situation, is admirable. I think when this kind of thing happens, and I know we've gone through it a few times, when players don't get paid and potentially looking to go into administration, the fans get behind the club and you kind of all pull together, don't you? That kind of, that mentality. But yeah, no, huge kudos to them. And, I think they look like they had some decent players, to be fair. I mean, they played fairly well. But yeah, no, I really hope they get things sorted out. I really do. I think I did read somewhere early on that they'd been paid today, the players. So hopefully that's something.
Yeah, a nice Pinot Grigio you just had a little sip of, Mr. Merriman. Did I notice there in the background?
Purely medicinal.
Was it?
You need alcohol after that season. And flagons. Yeah.
So
What alcoholic?
what particular variety?
Bit of rosé.
Oh, lovely,
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah, Anna. Actually, there's a point here you might want to pick up on. Neil says, "I thought the two kids did pretty well compared to the experienced ones in defence. Hunt likes to tackle. I think you've seen all their performances, haven't you, Anna? You know, McGregor and Hunt, and they look as though they've been playing for ages. To be honest."
Yeah, and that's right. I'm just going to preface all my answers, Vic, to all your questions by just a quick soundbite, which is more fool you, invest or sell, and then I'll answer your question. So yeah, the young lads, good on them. I think Hunt, big lad for a 16-year-old, about taller than some of the forwards he was up against. And I was just thinking back to the last time we had 16, 17-year-olds starting. Was that Twine and Scott and Price back in the first Welland season when they were the little strike force that got us a few goals inside 10 minutes? But I mean, those.
Anna, I think they were 18 probably. Sol was anyway.
No,
I think.
I'm not sure, but anyway. Good on them. I think it's good to see something coming of that tremendous season that the under-18s have had. Whether it's just putting them in the shop window or not, that's another question for me. And I think that the substitution of Redmond Evans, and again, fair play to him. They say he's ready to start making that step up. Is that just putting him in the shop window, or was it something else? And because I don't recall, the only other time I've ever seen a keeper substituted when he hasn't been injured is obviously that terrible day at Preston when De Canio decided it was a good idea to sub off Les Foderingham. But they're probably the only bright sparks from this season in terms of the performances that they put on Saturday. Yeah, pretty good. I thought Hunt was, as Mark said, he likes to get his foot in. I think he's seems like he is one for the future. I'd like to see that continue, but I don't want to see those players just sold on because that's because we're cashing in on what we can get for them. So but amongst the other defenders, we haven't had a good many defensive good performances this season, have we? How many clean sheets have we kept? Anyone know?
Well, we'll let Andrew delve into that in a minute.
Yeah, I don't know, but it hasn't been many, has it? I don't recall many coming away from many games thinking, goalkeeper has not been troubled.
Crawley.
So
Crawley, that was just clean sheet.
I think we had Crawley, we had Barrow, didn't we? We had Stockport away, which was Barrow and Stockport and Doncaster, those 2 0-0s. But it's been unusual, but it's not just about the defence, is it? It's about the whole defensive play, how we're set up, and the way we let runners just walk through or run through the middle of us, essentially, because of the lack of a holding midfielder or two, and also because a lot of the time our forwards can't hold the ball up. They're not the right sort of player to hold the ball up at this level. So building on next season, whatever that brings, you've got to have a really serious thought about that if people actually know what they're doing behind the scenes, which we come to doubt, don't we?
We shall see. I mean, 99 goals conceded in all competitions, Rob. Kind of says it all, really. We were talking about Sheffield United conceding 100 in the Premier League, aren't we? But 99 ain't too clever either, is it? To be honest.
There's the understatement of the year so far. Yeah. Answer to Anna's question, not enough clean sheets. Don't worry about how many, just not enough. And how many goals have we scored? Plenty. Let's be honest. 83.
Yeah.
83 should get you somewhere near the playoffs every season, if not higher than that. Which tells it's the only bit of the story you need to know, isn't it? Anna's just touched on the key point. You blame the defenders as much as you like. The team shape has been completely wrong all season to defend properly. You haven't got a defensive central midfield player in there until Oberthorpe turned up. And let's be honest, what a difference he's made up until Saturday when, of course, they all decided to go on holiday a little bit quicker in the defensive third of the pitch for some reason. I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but let's be quite frank, it didn't really matter too much, did it, in terms of the overall end to the season? Quite rightly, that team and that squad deservedly finish in the worst position post-war of any of our Swindon teams. They've caused us enough pain this year, so for once they get the accolades that they deserve.
Well, let's have a look at that table then. 19th Swindon, of course, 46 games played, 54 points, minus 6 goal difference. Salford in 20th, the forever underachieving Salford. 46 games played, 51 points, minus 16 goal difference. Grimsby 21st, 46 games, 49 points, minus 17. Colchester narrowly avoiding relegation, 46 points, 46 games, 45 points, minus 21. And the two that go down, Sutton, 42 points in 46 games, minus 24, 5 goal difference. And Forest Green, 42 points in 46, minus 34. Right, let's have a look at some of the questions that are coming in already. Can you do a special shout out to Barnes coaches and drivers for their excellent service this year? Yes, Kevin, we can. They've been magnificent. Danny, brilliant. Lee says Twine started before Wellings. He made his debut when he got relegated at Charlton. I think it was on the last day, wasn't it, of the season. Evening panel. Harley used to play as a striker when he played under 14s North Wilts Youth League. He's come a long way. Good on him, says Steve. Right, Mark, here's one for you. Paul says, new manager, whoever it is, won't make any difference. Problems run deeper. Now, whoever the new manager may be, we may find out this week. We don't know. But if you were a new manager coming in, you would expect some sort of backing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd like to think so, because there won't be many players left in the building, will there, by the time most of them have disappeared. So, for example, if it is Derek Adams, there's some suggestions that it might be. I would imagine that Derek Adams is no fool. He's been around the block quite a lot, and he'll want to get some players in. But whether the powers that be behind the scenes will back him remains to be seen. All the evidence currently suggests that we have. I was going to be very rude there, but something not to a pot, not to you know what in really. You know, we've got no money, and how is that going to change under the current owners? I asked the question back in January in the fans forum, Clem, have you got money to run this football club? At the time, he said yes, but I think everything we've seen since then would throw that into doubt, wouldn't it? So, what is Swindon Town now? Well, as Marcus Fjortoft said on Saturday after the game, it's become an irrelevance in football terms, and that is really sad for the likes of me, 50 years now a supporter. You know, the club still has so much potential, but we're in danger, if we're not already, of becoming an absolute laughing stock. And is the Swindon manager's job now a poison chalice? Who actually wants to take that job? We've had five managers over the last, 2-3 seasons. One could argue, given the record, that Garner was the best of those, but all of them in some way, shape or form have failed. And I think most fans probably now are coming to the conclusion that it's behind the scenes that's the problem, not, the management and the players.
Andrew, what do we know? Because there's a couple of questions here. Neil says, do we know when the retained list is out, please? Rob says, the weather on Saturday summed up our season. It was cold. And Michael says, I really want to get a season ticket for next season, but finding it hard to trust current people that run Swindon. Now, do we know, A, when the retained list is out, and B, whether there's any managerial appointment in the offing?
I think the retained list should be out this week, but I'm not sure more specific on that. So it may be slightly towards the latter end, I think, but I'm not sure. 7 clean sheets, by the way, 4 for Flynn, 3 for Coning. So that was a on managers again. It's very quiet. I think sort of kind of ploughing through where the Derek Adams story has emerged from, it feels like that's more on the Derek Adams side than the Swindon side. So he's a man who needs a job. He's a man who's sort of burned a few bridges in Scotland by saying how terrible the football was in Scotland, in a pleasing interview of radical honesty, and I'm all for more of those. So he does. He needs a job. He needs a job in England. You could see sort of a team in League Two taking him on, given he's got a couple of promotions with Plymouth and Morecambe. But I've not yet heard anything to back that up immediately. But so getting information out of the club on that stuff there, it tends to be a pretty straight bat. So
yeah, he was on a tour, wasn't he? When he came to watch us the other week.
Yes, he was on
Plymouth. Yeah, a fact-finding mission. He'd been at Plymouth the night before, I think. as well. Kevin Horlock doing well at management. Give him a go. He got a double, I think, this season, didn't he, Kevin Horlock? So he's doing okay. We had him on the sofa a few months, well, a couple of years ago, and we were quite impressed, I think it's fair to say. Martin says we needed a new manager in with 10 or so games left in the season, so he could have assessed the squad, had a say in retention of players, etc. There's no money. It'll be even worse, won't it, by going by all these I see not renewing season tickets. Just my thought. James, what are your thoughts?
What, in terms of the overall picture or the manager situation?
Well, anything really. I mean, the point is with the management situation, it seems to me, I mean, people are saying get one in early. Well, we got one in early last summer, didn't we? Yeah. That kind of worked for a bit, but not for very long, really.
Yeah, no, I think my view, I believe Clem's only over for a week. So I would imagine you want to get most of the stuff sorted. So interviews, retain list, everything done and dusted wise over here, budget for next season. I was under the impression the retain list was coming out today, but I've not seen anything.
And
I think
said that in his post match.
Yeah, he did, and I think the media.
He didn't look entirely certain when he said that.
Oh, okay.
He was.
If only the person
from elsewhere. So
if only the person who did the interview was here, he could tell us then, couldn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think, in my view, I think we're lacking. I know we saw the presentation at the fans forum, but we're lacking a blueprint. I think it feels to me like we really, really, really need to just go back to basics. You know, we made massive mistakes last season. Well, we've made mistakes a couple of seasons, but ultimately the squad wasn't big enough, which, you know, you could argue was kind of Flynn's fault for not wanting a bigger squad. I think the other thing you've got to look at as well, we've had so many injuries this season. So I would question mark what's going on with that side of the club as well. You know, sports science, what's going on? I mean, why are we getting so many injuries? Certainly in the first year Clem came in, you know, we had a really top-notch sports science department, which, you know, they even got people, you know, like Williams and Gladwin who'd had long-term injuries on the pitch more often than not, and it feels to me like we've gone a bit backwards in that area. So that's not helped. So I think they need to sort that out and work out why we're getting so many injuries. But at the same time, I think, you know, we just desperately need to stop. We need to build a League Two team, and I know the club have not wanted to do that. They've wanted to play their way out of League Two, but unfortunately, it's not. I just don't think we can. I really don't. So we need a big team, you know, big centre backs, a big midfielder, a big striker, play off him, and literally do it the way other teams do it in terms of getting out of this league, and then we can worry about playing, you know, nicer football with this kind of Swindon, more the Swindon way in League One if we get to that position. But it feels like we just need to get out of this blooming league, and if we need to do that via the standard League Two approach, then let's just do it. And that's what I'd like to see happen in terms of the recruitment. Just get those kind of League Two players that have been there, done it, and they can get us out of this league. And if that means Derek Adams is the manager because he's got other teams out of this league, then so be it. I don't really care. I just want to get out of this league. I think that would be where I'm at. But I would question the sports science bit, and I really think that needs looking at because, you know, ultimately, if we're bringing in players and most of them are getting injured, you just can't keep on. You can't keep on bringing in more and more players because all of them are getting injured. We just need to look at that bit and work out what's wrong with it and try and fix it. So that would be my view, Vic.
And obviously, to win ugly then, but get out of the league, would that satisfy people?
Before I start, I'd just like to say invest or sell. I think we're going to get bored of that, I know. But do we need to play ugly? You know, for me, it's not about the manager. It's not about the recruitment. I mean, it is. But it's about what's going on behind the scenes. And as the question, I think, originally said, you know, our problems go much deeper. Whoever you bring in is just papering over the cracks. Unless something fundamentally changes, and you could, you know, we can argue the toss about whether it's, I don't know, corruption, ineptitude, you know, doesn't understand anything about football, money, whatever it is, that has to change, because if we have the same structure financially and administratively off the pitch next season, we're gonna be in the same position next year, if not worse. Let's face it. So those are the things that we need to put pressure on the club to change. It's if the money is not there, if Clem doesn't have the money, he's really got to look at what he's doing and not just have a holding pattern until you start to make some money from the ground redevelopment. There's got to be a fundamental change and switch in that methodology and the way of thinking from Clem. So I am interested in recruitment. I have no optimism for next year, to be frank, anyway. But everything that James has said is probably right, that we haven't built a League Two side, and after all this time, we do need to build a League Two side. I think about contract negotiations with McGurk, for example. Well, McGurk for me is a luxury player. You can have a McGurk in the side if you've got a bunch of other big bruisers who can kick their way out of, and I don't mean kick other players, who can kick their way out of League Two. But McGurk amongst a load of other small midfielders, it's just a recipe for disaster. He can waltz past a couple of players, but he'll soon get shrugged off the ball. So they've really got to think about that side of it, as well as experience. We haven't had that. We've had a load of players who either haven't played for years for various reasons, or who are just cutting their teeth in the game. And to go back to James's point as well about injuries, well, we signed a load of players that are made of glass. What do you expect? Some of the big clubs that have got rid of the likes of Clayton, Devine, they've let them go for a reason. They haven't let them go perhaps so much on the footballing side, but the injuries that they've had, and we have a history of this, don't we? Because if you go back to Jordan Lydon under Wellens, great player, can't keep his feet on the pitch for more than sort of 45 minutes straight, and that might be a physiological thing. So there is some sports science on it in terms of keeping fit players fit, but there's also, you've got to look at who you recruit, and you can't take a risk on more than, I don't know, one max two players who've got a history of injuries, because it's just how many players have we had on the sidelines for virtually the whole season? Devine, how much has he played? 19 minutes or something. So but I don't believe and trust in anyone behind the scenes to do the job properly, to be honest. And that's the problem I've got with whatever manager we bring in, is just papering over the cracks.
Well, there's a lot to digest there, I have to say, Anna. Can we just take the word corruption out of this? I'm just doing my BBC. Please don't say things like that.
I didn't say that. I said ineptitude. I didn't say the other word.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll leave that one out of there. Gerald says the nonsense of having virtually half a team of lone players year after year is madness. I think McGurk could be like Louis Barry for us, only in a front three. Mark says Phil Brown tried to build a League Two side. It was rubbish, bar Paul Mullin. Oh, I wonder what happened to Paul Mullin. Where did he go?
Apparently he went to Wrexham, but not for the money.
Well, they're in League One. Whoever the manager is, the whole club needs to get behind him or her and the team every week. All the negativity doesn't help at all. Anna Tursley is the new manager. Well done. Rob, where are we at with it?
Vote Anna. Simple as that. Where are we? In a mess, Vic, for want of a better expression. Everyone already has debated the pros and the cons of our current situation. The bottom line is we don't know, do we? And it's been that way, what feels like now, for an eternity. Things go on and off the pitch and we don't hear about it. Announcements are made about sponsorship. We're all concerned about players on the pitch and when they're going to get fit again, whether we're going to get new players in, whether we're going to replace the ones that might be leaving. It's all up in the air. We hear nothing. We know nothing. It feels like a culture of silence. If I remember back to 2 years or so ago when we were talking about the immediate post-power era, we were talking about the one thing we mustn't do is go through this same situation again of not being open and honest and transparent with the fans. And where are we now? In exactly that same position as we were then. Maybe not necessarily financially. Maybe things are better. Who knows? We could all put our own 2 pence in, come up with an answer. One of us might be right, but we'd be lucky if we were, because we just don't know. We have no clarity. And for me, that's the biggest damning indictment that you could throw at anybody at the moment. It was an open goal for Mr. Morfuni when he came in, because everybody hated Lee Power so much that, quite frankly, if he'd have just said hello to people every week, that'd have been enough for most people. I think most fans at the time. But no, his culture of silence at the last 9 months really hasn't done him any favours. And if he was in front of me now, the one thing I would say to him at this moment in time is just give us a message, give us some positivity, give us something to sell those season tickets. Because let's be honest, the situation off the pitch, whatever it might be financially, isn't going to get any better if people don't spend their money through the turnstiles this summer. And there are many, many people questioning whether it is wise to part with best part 400, forfeit, whatever it might be, wherever you are in the ground, £400. In the current climate, that's a lot of money for a lot of people. And they need to see something that's going to give them an incentive to go and spend that money. And at this moment in time, that incentive isn't there. That's what he needs to do. He needs to sell those season tickets. If you ask me about Gavin Gunning, we had that discussion before. He's not going to sell you season tickets. You need something exciting to get the fans behind you. And at the moment, we haven't got it.
Okay, lots of stuff coming in. Let's have a look. Kevin says, always look forward to the end of season chat. It's the same every year. Can't really argue with that, can we? Paul says, I said in January, the Harry McCurdy return was just smoke and mirrors by a club trying to distract fans from the ineptitude. Big words tonight. I'm having trouble saying them because of hay fever. I won't go on about it too much. We are talking experience yet. Fraser Break Tracy is leaving and wouldn't be surprised if Charlie moves on too. They are experienced players. Claire says the spine of the team needs to be experienced players who know how to play that league. Now, on the subject of contact, I was just trying to find one which came in earlier on. Oh, yes, it's from Matt. Have we talked about Clem's programme notes? Is that all we're worth? Change a few words in each sentence and they'll never notice. Mark, what were your thoughts on Clem's programme notes on Saturday?
Deluded, really. He talked about how it was a season of highs and lows or ups and downs. I can't remember the exact quotation. I don't think many fans would go along with that, really. It was 9 games where we all got really excited because we were unbeaten and we were playing some lovely football, and Kemp looked like a proper footballer and Young was scoring goals for fun. We also noticed, I can remember going back to the Forest Green game, that we had a paper-thin squad and thinking we've got 7 on the bench and about 2 of them with any league experience. So to describe it as a season of highs and lows is an insult, really. It wasn't a season of highs and lows. We finished 19th in League 2. 19th, a club the size of Swindon Town. So, I don't know. I agree completely with what Rob said and other people before. We need to have a message. If Clem is over in this country just for a week, which is what somebody previously said, he needs to come out and talk to the fans properly. You know, rehashed notes in a programme just won't cut it. You know, we're in danger of selling not 5,000 season tickets, but about 500 at the current rate of progress. And that won't give us any kind of budget whatsoever. So he needs to come out. He needs to tell us who the manager's going to be. Gavin Gunning is not going to be good enough as the manager for Swindon Town Football Club. 18 points out of 18 games tell its own story. We need a proper manager who can build, as James rightly says, a proper League 2 team with decent physical players, not 5'3" powder puff midfielders, because it won't cut it. Anna's right. McGurk's a luxury player. Looks quite good. Alongside off the ball, he might be quite good. Alongside McEachran, he's going to get bullied off the ball all the time. So where are you, Clem? Come and talk to the fans. Come and tell us. I shook his hand in the walking football tournament when we first came into the football club, thinking that we'd have real reasons to be optimistic, not just for one season, but in the future. And we have gone, as James rightly said, backwards. Backwards on the pitch and backwards off the pitch. And it simply will not do. Okay, we need to be given a strong message from the owner of the football club about what the vision is and what identity we have, because at the moment that is sadly lacking.
Well, that subject's been picked up by Tim. How's the microwaves? Okay.
Yes, good.
At least Lee Power did media interviews. His trademark was, listen, Sean, you might well remember that, Andrew. But at least he spoke to the media and sounded he knew what he was talking about. Clem was on Saturday. Why didn't he speak to Andrew Hawes? Andrew Hawes. You got mute.
I think Sean was in pursuit, but I don't know why that happened. It's kind of there's pretty much a standing request whenever he's in the country to come in. And I should also do my mea culpa from Saturday from what Mark said, because I docked Gavin Gunning 2 points. He's got 20 points from 18 games. So 5 times 3 is 15 for 5 wins and 5 for 5 draws. So yes. Sorry, what was the question, Vic? I've lost my mind.
Why didn't you speak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not lack of willingness. I mean, I suppose kind of going back to the points that Mark and Alan made, we did when he was in the country in January. We sat down with him for 20 minutes. The AMPA sat down with him for 20 minutes. And Moore's had a chat for his newsletter and so on and so forth. So, but it clearly, I think so. Even when I was in the room at the time, I can't say it provided that sort of vision that anyone else here has talked about. Really, the method of how the club is going to emerge from its kind of sleepwalking and gradual fall down the table. So, it's you can talk to him, but sometimes you're hoping for more kind of clarity on what the plan is.
There's no plan for media interviews this time round, as far as you know.
Not that I know of at this stage, but that doesn't mean that won't change.
Okay, fair. Oh, okay.
That was an ambivalent answer because I'm not certain, but there's no
Okay, I was
there's no
just
plans
going to say,
as we speak.
I mean, if a new manager is appointed, then there'll be some sort of news conference, one would hope, basically. Hi, Caroline. This is from Caroline Lane. A massive thank you to the Sports Club for all your help with the Junior Reds end of season party. And can we say to you, Caroline, thank you very much indeed for all the incredible work you do behind the scenes, because it is absolutely extraordinary. The Junior Reds has been a massive success. And I know all the people that work in there are very happy to do so. And I'd also like to pay tribute to the likes of Fred, Jill and Chris, who were given 30-year service awards on Saturday. Now, Chris Abrooker, you might well know, works in the Legends and all the hospitalities and all that kind of stuff. Jill Strange too, and Fred Brown does all the maintenance around the ground with his team as well. So they're extraordinary people, and the staff behind the scenes who work really long hours for very little reward in terms of what they get out of it, apart from their love of the football club. And I think we pay tribute to them. So thank you very much indeed for what they've done. James, if Clem wants to sell season tickets, then he needs to invest. Get Kemp on a permanent for starters and then work on our retain list. The spine needs to be experienced. What do you know about any investment?
Oh dear.
Oh, you got all red. Why have you gone all red?
No. I'm just, it's, I don't know. I think we've already said it, haven't we? We seem to go through this conversation every year. I'm not actually sure. I mean, if you look at the teams that have gone up, okay, there's some teams that, have invested heavily, and we all know who they are, from League 2 to League 1 this season. But historically, it's not all necessarily all about money. It's about what we've already said. It's about having everyone pushing in the same direction. It's about having a strategy. It's about, ultimately going and recruiting well, which obviously is important, and the right type of players for League 2 to get you out of this league, which is a blend of experienced League 2 players. And, if they want to, obviously the mix of youth, that's fine. No issue with that at all. But you need the spine of the team, as has already been said, to be experienced players at this level. And you also need, the whole strategic kind of route of the club. Everyone pushing in that same direction, and basically, everyone looking at the things that have kind of gone wrong in the past. Whether they be PR things or communications or whatever, and basically, making sure those kind of things don't happen again. And I think at the moment, I'm not sure that we're in that position. And what I'd like to see is just, we don't just keep on making the same mistakes, whether it be recruitment, whether it be, the manager, whether it be all the other things. I think as long as, we can get those basics right, and let's just get those core foundations and basics right. If that means we have to stay in League Two for another season, but we finish 8th or 10th, so be it, because you have to build for the future. We can't necessarily get it straight away, but it will be a hell of a lot better than we've had this season. And if we can see those kind of shoots of, rays of light, if you like, that we're on the right course, then I think people will, will the positivity will be back. But I think that's where people are struggling at the moment. They can't see that positivity because there are so many issues. And I just think, that would be my message if Clem and the club are listening. We just need to kind of let's get the team, the spine of the team, experienced League Two players. We don't necessarily need a huge budget, but we just need to get the basics right, and that would be my message.
Right, there's a couple of. Let me read a couple of them. Andy says, "Agree. Money's not done Forest Green much good. Although to be fair, they have got out of this league." Which they have. Tony says, be honest, Vic, the club needs leadership. Clem, top man, followed by the CEO, but needs to understand how the club works and football off the pitch. Too many mistakes. The club's communications is abysmal. Always a copy and paste from other sources. Just look at the article about fans going onto the pitch. Everything in the club is being run on a tight budget, high turnover of staff on and off the pitch. There's no magic formula in football, Anna, is there? Let's be honest. If there was, everybody would win promotion every season. They'd all be top of the league. There's no magic formula. And if you look at the likes of Stevenage, how have they made it work and we haven't?
Invest or sell. There absolutely is no magic formula. I mean, some of those teams that have gone up this season have thrown money at it. That's pretty obvious. But that doesn't tell the whole story. There needs to be the infrastructure behind the scenes. There needs to be sports science. There needs to be good recruitment. So I would agree with that. So and as you said, if it was that easy, everyone would be vying for those playoff places and automatic spots every year, and they're not. It's a combination of many of those things. Unfortunately, the combination we have is all wrong. So for me, the time for talk only fixing things is past. So even if Clem comes out this week and says, got a new manager, please buy a season ticket, it's not enough. You need to back that up with actions. So, I'm not expecting him necessarily to go, okay, I'm going to chuck millions and millions at this problem now, because as we just said, that doesn't necessarily fix it. But what I am expecting is for him to say, for him to decide, really, am I willing to fund this properly to whatever extent we turn properly, or do I need to get more investment, or do I need to sell? Because in the current state of affairs, we're only going one way. We're only going downwards. If you look at, so the squad retention is a key thing as well, and we know it's going to be a big turnover again this season for lots of different reasons. If you look at the squad retention stats from as we were going into 22-23 season, this was after that was the season following the failed playoff campaign, wasn't it? So that was. We were the bottom of the EFL in terms of retained squad stats at that time. Football League Two, so League Two. I don't know what the stats were as we entered 23-24, but I suspect we were pretty close to the bottom, and that's based on minutes played by retained players in the previous season. This season is going to be the same. We're going to have a huge turnover. The ones we keep are probably going to be the cheap ones. Let's face it, and those will be the ones who haven't played many EFL games and are just cutting their teeth. So, and that in itself is a problem for someone coming in, because what you're asking a new manager to do, or even an existing manager, is you're asking them to reform and suddenly stride up the league with those players as they come in. You take maybe 3-4 months to get a new squad together. So you're looking at perhaps getting into your stride by Christmas. That's apart from Doncaster this season, that's not going to be a promotion winning squad, is it? So we have to look at that whole strategy as well, of trying to actually aim to retain players season on season, the good ones, so you can build season on season. You get some continuity. That also gives you some connection with the fans, because they say, oh yeah, that's him from last season. Yeah, he was all right for us. We've got none of that. All the players that they're so transient. They're here for, you know, season and a half, and Blake Tracy I think was here for 2, and then they're gone. So you get no chance to build community. I think I'm being a bit negative, but I just don't see change unless something actually changes. So forget the talk and actually do things that show us that things have changed.
Well, you're saying what you believe, and you're a fan that travels many, many miles home and away. And Mark's very nearly got through that bottle of rosé, which is a little bit worrying in the background. Hi, Gaza. We threw money at it with PDC. That's not the answer. I don't want to buy the best players for a season or 2 and chance our hand at promotion. What's needed is longer contracts for continuity, so we don't have large turnover season on season. Same for the manager. And I think, Rob, most of us who watch Swindon for more seasons than we care to remember, you want a team that is our team, don't you? And I think they made 1 or 2 strides in the January window to get players who are ours. But, you know, I don't want to go on about the longevity of players like John Trollope because, you know, they're not happening anymore like that. But you see the point I'm making. You want players to be with Swindon Town for a long time and to actually use it, you know, that football club and play with it for a long, long time.
What we do is, as fans of the club, that's exactly what we want, isn't it? Because we want to find players that we can all associate with, and not players that we know are going to be fly-by-nights here for 6 months or here for a year, whatever it might be. You want a player to be with you for 2-3 seasons, so you can properly see the development of that player alongside the development of the team. And you hope, and we have to keep our fingers firmly and tightly crossed, the breakthrough that some of the youths have made towards the back end of this season hasn't just been by necessity. It's actually been because they are good enough. And if they're good enough in numbers, as most of those players were that played at Bristol City in that Youth Cup quarter-final, you could make a play for 4 or 5 of those at least to have been starting in the first team. Now, that therefore means that as much as we've been bemoaning the quality of both squad on and off the pitch, beneath that, further down the club pyramid, there is a youth setup that is clearly working. It's clearly developing players at a rate of knots that we haven't seen for many a year. You can go back a couple of decades to find the last time we put 3 youth team players, I would think, on the pitch on the last day of the season. It's a long, long time since that's happened. So there are little, very, very tiny green shoots that we can cling to at the moment, but that's the problem. We're looking desperately to try and find them rather than them being whacking in our face as soon as we get in the door. That's what we need. We just need to make sure that this recruitment, whatever this recruitment is in the summer, whether it's a manager, whether it's players, they're here from the start of pre-season. I'm not going to beat that drum too often, but I'll keep saying it time and time again. Don't get them in on the last day of August when we've already played a month of football. Get them in the first week of July. Don't miss out on all those players that we miss out on year after year that somebody else picks up because they weren't prepared to put their hands in their pockets deep enough at the time. Make sure you get the players here for the first week of pre-season, have a proper pre-season, which we don't seem to have very often, and then you're ready to start the season on the first week. We've got away with it the last few seasons. We've been very, very fortunate that for some unknown reason, it's gelled at the very start of the season because it's not by planning. When you look at the amount of time that those players have come through the door very late on, it just feels like it's clicked for an unknown reason, not for a positive reason at the start of the season. And if it hadn't done this season, as we well know, we'd be following Forest Green.
Well, lots of stuff coming in, and I'm going to struggle to get through everybody's comments, but there's loads of them, so thank you. Hi, Daniel. There needs to be a clear plan moving forward because at the moment it's non-existent, and it's showing on the pitch with poor finishes in the league. Marcus Fjortov. We did ask Marcus to come on tonight, but do you know what? He's playing football tonight, which is not good enough, quite frankly.
Very.
Experienced centre-backs, everyone.
There you go. Played for Hamilton Academical. You can't get better than that, quite honestly. He was spot on in his post-match comments about the need for clear and definitive plan moving forwards because fans will take more of what has happened in the past couple of years. And I guess that's the thing, Mark, isn't it? I mean, you just want to know what's happening. And And I say this, it's a kind of an appeal. We all love this football club, don't we? We're stupid enough to go and watch it week in, week out, wherever they might be playing. Going to Cleethorpes to watch them play Grimsby and things like that. When there's no real reason to. Let's be honest. You just want to know where your football club's going, and I don't know if anybody from the club is watching tonight, but I implore you, please, just let us know what's going on. Let's clear up some of this stuff. And can we get on? Because we're fed up to death of talking about all this stuff, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, Anna was right, wasn't she? I don't often agree with Anna, but she was right in the sense that the time for talk is now gone, and we need action. No, not cheap words, action. And want to know, I think Marcus Fjortoft was very, very good in his post-match summary. He talked about Swindon being an irrelevance. He also talked about a lack of identity. Swindon Town Football Club hasn't got an identity, and like you, Vic, I implore the people who are running the football club to say, what is the vision? If the vision, like Rob's alluded to, is to play a few of the academy players who look as if they're, if not ready, then almost ready, that's absolutely fine, provided you get in some experience. Because to quote both Rob Angus and Clem, mistakes have been made. Yes, they have been made, so put them right. Get some experience in. We need an experienced spine to start with. That starts with the keeper, and it goes to two big centre-backs, like James said, a decent size physical midfield player, a bit like Offerball, and then a big lad up front, in the same way that when we started with Clem, the model looked really promising. We had Tyree Simpson up front. Look at him. Look at the goals that he scored. He scored 11 or 12 goals before he went back to where was it, Ipswich or something, I think. Yeah. And then the squad and the quality of the players has gone down ever since. We haven't built on the squad. The squad has got worse in terms of quality every single transfer window, which explains why we've finished 19th. And in addition to that, the management has been, I call Mr. Gunning, sorry, Gavin, if you're listening, I call him scattergunning, because it feels like it's just the Sunday League approach to it. It just feels like throw people on and see what happens. There doesn't really seem to be a plan in terms of the way we played. You could certainly see there was a plan with Scott Lindsay. You could see there was a plan with Garner. Even Flynn wants to play out from the back. I don't know, as I sit here today, what Gavin Gunning's football strategy and plan is. I couldn't tell you. And he is therefore not the right man to be Swindon Town manager. We need somebody else. But we need to know who that person is. We need to know it within the next week or two, not in July or August. That's simply too late.
Yeah, it's interesting, really, because, in the old days, you'd go to turn up for pre-season friendlies to see the new players who'd already been signed, and they were an integral part of the team to come. Hi, Neil. It's about a building process. The team should add quality to the playing squad who are consistent and proven their worth. Then add the missing pieces, not a rebuild every transfer window of 15 to 20 players. That is a disaster approach, as Anna says. Recruitment of players needs to improve and make sure they're fit and no injured players. I mean, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I hate these transfer windows. I think they ruin football in many respects, because not only do you get a new team every year, you get a new team every 6 months, and that doesn't help, does it? It's a Sky TV invented nonsense as far as I'm concerned. And, why do we need it? And as we all have said before, you tend to see loads of transfers on the last day of August, which is no good to man the beast, is it?
No, I'm not sure what the case for the transfer window is, but I think people are a bit nostalgic and unrealistic to imagine that we are going to go back to
we won't be
the days of having kind of more consistent squads. I think, because the counter argument to we want our own players on long contracts is let's pick out Jake Kane here. Not through any vindictiveness, but Jake Kane was given a 2.5-year deal, and here we are 18. We had a year and a half of that, and he's still in and out of the first team. And he's here for next season. Ditto Ricky Aguiar. So that's the kind of side there. You've got two midfielders there who are on the contract for next season, and they've not been able to consistently get a place in a team that has finished 19th. So they gave 2 years to Tom Clayton, 2 years to Reece Devine. We've hardly seen either of those in the second year. So I think we just have to accept that it is going to be more kind of rotation. I think you can still make that work. I think Richie Wellens was able to make that work. He took a squad, assessed it, thought quite a lot that's not good enough, and was able to get plenty of it out, get lots of new faces in, and hit the ground. I think that has to be a skill of League Two management now, that you have to work with a high turnover of players unless you're very, very lucky, stroke rich, stroke Stockport, stroke Wrexham, stroke Mansfield.
Well, they'll find next season that might be difficult, mightn't it? Because I think, doesn't the wage cap come in for them next season, which hasn't been this year?
Yes.
So it might be.
I look forward to Wrexham being outbid by someone. It'll be heady times when that happens.
Erling Haaland goes to the racecourse. That'll be an interesting one, won't it? Let's have a look at the teams that have come down then. On Sunday, of course, it's Bromley against Solihull Moors, a double Wembley appearance for one Tyree Shade. You might well have heard of him on Sunday. So one of those teams will be in League Two next season. So at least there's the excitement of a new ground for us next year, which is something. The bottom four in League One: Cheltenham, Fleetwood, a return. Unfortunately. Well, we'll ask Rob about that in a minute, and there's a reason for it. Cheltenham, Fleetwood, a return to Vale Park. We're all looking forward to that. And Carlisle, which is always a pleasant but very long trip, obviously. So at least there's something, James. There's a new ground to look forward to next season. Woohoo!
Exactly. Although it hasn't done a lot of good for the North-South divide or the Northern Premier League second division, has it? Because, we've lost Forest Green, but we've inherited Cheltenham now. So that's kind of one in, one out. I guess if Solihull come up, that'll be good, because that'll be another local one. I must admit, I've never been to that ground before, so that'd be good. But yeah, I'm not really overly enamoured by Port Vale. I have to say, going back there, that could be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the only thing I would say is that I think the sides that have invested heavily, as I think Anna mentioned, have all gone up. So it might mean it might mean that there's not quite so many clubs with such a big budget next season. So let's see what difference that potentially makes. But yeah, I'm sure someone will be bought out in the summer and have a big budget to kind of compete and ultimately buy all the better players. But yeah, nevertheless, it'll be good. It'll be good to try some new grounds next season, which will be good. Yeah.
I love Carlisle, Vic. A long weekend, says Tony. And there's a great pub opposite that does a very nice meal, if I remember rightly, which is always very pleasant to go to. Were players injured or didn't want to play for the manager? Big question. I just wanted to remind you of the 83-84 season. We've done this before, but it's worth looking at. 17th, Swindon Town, 58 points from 46 games. Northampton in 18th, 53 from 46. 19th, Mansfield Town, 52 from 46. In 20th place, the aforementioned Wrexham, 48 from 46. And the bottom four, Halifax, Rochdale, Hartlepool, Chester, all of whom, Anna, are where exactly?
Oh well, they're not in our league, are they? In more ways than one, perhaps.
Long gone.
Yeah. I mean, next season is going to come sooner than we might hope. In a way, I think it will take a lot longer to rebuild what's lost. And the conversation that we referred to when Rob Angus and Clem came out and said, we made some mistakes. That was last season, obviously. They've made the same mistakes this season, or the Clem has, and I don't see those getting rectified anytime soon. The communication is just a byproduct of the rest of the problems, as far as I'm concerned. But recruitment is important, I think, and we've kind of, in a way, we've done that one to death. If we have a mix of youth players and a few other solid EFL performers, that's fine. I think Chesterfield are potentially going to put a bit of money into it, aren't they? They're going to be on the crest of a wave. They're going to be right up there, I think. And if Doncaster don't get promoted on the back of their tremendous run since March, then they're going to be up there too. It's never easy to get out of a division. To give ourselves a fighting chance, things have got to change fundamentally. And I just honestly do not see it Do not see it at the moment. I'd like to go into next season with a bit of optimism, but unless things are radically changing in the next 4, 6, 8 weeks, can't see it.
I would
I'll
like to
still be
say,
there,
hey, it's what we do, isn't it? I would like to say at this point, when we beat Crawley 6-0 at home on that very hot day, if I seem to remember, who would have thought they'd got in the playoffs? And I think we should also say, well done to Scott Lindsay, who's done a terrific job there. He wasn't everybody's favourite at Swindon, but he's done a great job at Crawley and got them in the playoffs. So, well done to Scott.
I think you've also got to add to that, Vic, as well. And again, I wasn't necessarily the biggest Scott Lindsay fan, but they had a decent budget before he joined them, and I think he had to cut quite a lot of players and get rid of quite a few of the higher earners. So he's done it on what is actually not a huge budget. So I think that makes it even more of a gravitas, really, as to what he's done. So, just wanted to say that because I think I admire the guy. I think from the situation, he was a bit of a broken man when he left us, and I think he's done a great.
Pretty much hounded out. He was pretty much hounded out by the fans, wasn't he? And we've never. I think we were 5th or 6th at the time.
6th, I think.
Never been that high again.
What we take for that, hey, to finish the season at 5th or 6th?
No, I wish him well. This is from Adrian. Just a warning, next season, Colchester's called off due to snow in September. We were all there on that opening day. Hurrah, how we remember it. Right, here's one for you then, Rob. Hi to Sean Sidfeely. Never beat Cheltenham, especially at their place. I don't think we've ever won there, have we?
No.
But there's a reason why you put your arms up in the air like that. Well, explain all.
Let's just. I could go on for months with this, but let's just summarise by saying there were an awful lot of people I work with today that I sent a lovely email to welcoming them to Division 3 North. Let's put it that way. I've been taking so much flack over the course of the last few years since they got promoted, and quite rightly so from their perspective, that it was justifiable that I gave an absolute torrent of abuse back to them today. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my Monday. I have to say it's been one of my one of the days I'll remember of this season more than any other, I think, to be honest.
They got a very pleasant social club there, haven't they? They got a very pleasant social club there, which is
a lovely place. Vic, don't get me wrong; they're a lovely bunch of people. But sometimes you can have had too much stick over the course of a period where it's just justified when you get your own back. Today was the day I got my own back, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
God bless them. They'll be back down the bottom of our division next year as well, because we will beat them home and away next year. That's the other thing.
If only.
Someone clip that up and post it. Someone clip that up and post it on the socials, please.
Yes, indeed. I remember that cup game down there when we took the lead in the cup game in the last minute or so, and
we thought we won, Vic.
Well, I turned to Rob and I said, "We're going to win at Cheltenham," and you said, "Don't be so sure." And then
what happened?
I remember that only too well.
No, I've had so many years of suffering against Cheltenham that this is this was a day that I'm going to enjoy. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. I hoping was going to have a day to enjoy on Saturday, looking at the Exeter result when they played a certain team. Sadly, it didn't turn out that way, but never mind. On the subject of Exeter, on Wednesday night, it's going to be my great pleasure to host a senior Reds thing at St. James Park with the great Sean Taylor, or Sean Taylor as we know him only too well. And it will be available on Zoom. So a cheap and scandalous plug for that on Wednesday night for those who might be interested. The great Sean Taylor. Right, let's go around. Look, let's end on a positive note and talk about highlights of this season. There aren't many, I granted, but I'm going to kick this off by saying, with the supporters club, we've raised over 11.5 grand for the Derby Rimmer Foundation. Yep. We were delighted to have Mark Corrigan from them there on Saturday as our guest. He came along, got the ceremonial check, and it's been an absolute treat doing that for the Derby Rimmer Foundation, and also with the Junior Reds Room too, as well. So in terms of the football, it hasn't been great. I would say Mansfield at home, Crawley at home, part of Wrexham away, which was pretty good. Barrow away was all right, and to say the least. But they've been few and far between. But the Derby Rimmer thing was fabulous, and we wish Stephen Darby all the very well. And Steph Houghton, of course, his wife, I think she finishes her career on Sunday, so we wish her well as well. Mark, your highlights.
Blimey, I think you've mentioned all of them, I think. Yeah, the 6-0 was good. I think we beat Sutton 5-3. I remember Blake Tracy scoring a last-minute winner at Forest Green, which was okay. Yeah, the Mansfield game, a last-minute winner. Forest Green beating them at home with 2 good goals from Kemp and a last-minute save from Lewis Ward was probably about the last thing he did before he left for Charlton. And then I'm struggling. A ridiculous win against Notts County, who for some reason decided to pass the ball about 5,000 times around their own penalty area and own half, and therefore play into our hands while we burgled 2 goals. I suppose you could say that in some kind of strange way was a highlight, but then you're struggling, aren't you? You're struggling to think of many more, if any, really. Sorry about that.
No, fair enough. Andrew, now many thousands of miles you have travelled, many thousands of words you have delivered. Out of those words, can you remember the highlights?
Well, football highlights are probably the FA Youth Cup beating Manchester United. I would say that was
good point.
That has to sit there. Again, it's. I'll never forget the end of the Accrington game. I'm not sure you can say that as a positive, but the team did win. But that will, I think that will haunt various dreams I have at different times. Really, Charlie Austin getting a farewell goal was nice. I mean, yes, it's we've been.
Can I just throw this one at you?
We've been largely partaking on pretty thin gruel. Sorry, Vic, carry on.
Well, Andy's just put this one in, and he's absolutely right. McCurdy's equaliser at Gillingham was a great moment at the time, and you get to commentate on it, so that's pretty good. That did feel a good moment for that was one of the better performances. And as Mark did point out, the chaos at the end of the Forest Green game was ultimately brilliant. But yes, even the good moments seemed defined by the chaos more than the good football. Because after McCurdy's equaliser, I remember Bycroft pulled off a worldie save, didn't he, to deny them a winner in the last few seconds. So we should remember that. And Andy's also said, Kokolo's goal on Saturday, James, a thing of absolute beauty, which it was. I mean, let's be honest, that was a corker, wasn't it?
Oh, that's an amazing team goal, wasn't it? I think I've watched it about 6 or 7 times, and I mean, literally, if a higher division club had scored that, people would be, will still be saying it's a really great goal. So for us to be able to do that in League Two was amazing. So yeah, really, really good. I would add to the highlights of the season the fact we've got our own goalkeeper now in Bycroft, rather than just lone keepers all the time. I think that's a highlight. He looks like, okay, there's a few mistakes in him, but he's still young at the moment. But I would say actually he does look like a really good goalkeeper. And I think, if we can get him over the line and signed up and everything else, having our own keeper is a great thing. I would agree with everyone. I think everything everyone's already said, really. Certainly Charlie kind of getting his 200 goal, whether it'll be a farewell goal or not, I don't know. I suspect it probably will be. What else? Yeah, I think we're scraping the barrel a little bit, to be honest, now. But I think I would certainly agree with all the things that people have already said as well. So.
Well, Adrian says, highlight, I get paid for looking after James. Hi, James. So there you are. Anna, how about you?
Everyone's taken all my glory. I can't honestly think of anything to add to the list of things that people have already come up with, and it really is kind of scraping the barrel, isn't it? Perhaps it's if we'd have held the season, you stopped the season, paused it when we're 4-0 up at Wrexham, and just bit of time goes by, restart, win 4-1, move on. That would have meant the highlight meant something, but it's a struggle, isn't it? A few good goals, yeah. Kokolo's goal Saturday, brilliant team goal. Blake Tracy again, my one away win of the season. I'd like to add at Forest Green because I didn't see the other two. Those were moments, weren't they? But isolated incidents, really.
Tom says purchase of the ground, of course, which was a great moment, was it not? I was going to say something else now. It's completely forgotten. Oh, yes, I know. The 85-86 night when we had the reunion of that team down at the Legends. Yeah, that was great. a cracking evening.
Can you get Ken Beamish on the sofa and grant him absolution in some way?
Well,
is there any way you can do that?
Well, we can ask, because there's no reason why we can't ask him. Rob, you're, I suppose, working with Andrew Hawes has to be right up there, doesn't it?
Well, bearing in mind everybody has done the on the pitch highlights, I was just about to say the off the pitch highlight without a shadow of a doubt, and Andrew has almost stolen my thunder. But that last stoppage time commentary at Accrington, when those goals were flying in, the look of bewilderment on the face of Andrew for most of those 8 minutes, especially after 4 minutes into stoppage time, I've said, it's 4-1 now. We're not going to throw this away, are we? Sure enough, we did our best to try and do that. I've never known a commentary which was almost silent, because you just let the fans do the commentary for the last 3 minutes. Utterly bizarre that those stoppage time minutes were. An absolute pleasure, Andrew, it was to be sat next to you that day to a degree.
Eventually,
it was all season. And this is our highlight, Vic. Our therapy.
Oh, yes, indeed
Thank
it
you
is.
very much.
Yeah, I need therapy for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for all you've done with all this, because I think this helps a lot of people for a lot of the week, to be honest, sometimes, just to be able to get to hear the voices of people who are not necessarily towing the club line, but also trying to get the best thing out there for our club. And that's the message that we're all trying to get across. We all want to see success.
Yeah, we want a happy and successful football club. That's all we want. I mean, it's not much else to ask for, really. And that's, to me, that's the whole point. I mean, I would say also the 2 free hot drinks at Accrington were very much a highlight, because without them, I think we might have just frozen stiff on the spot, because it was so...
Overall, Vic?
No, hot chocolate, Mark. As a vegetarian, it had to be hot chocolate. The 2 old duffers mug, a thing of beauty, says Kev. Yes, you would. Kemp and Young have to be highlights. Without their goals, we would have been relegated. And highlight is watching a panel on Monday. Thank you very much indeed, Matthew. Chris, are you there, Chris? Possibly not. There she is.
She's going to ring Samaritans.
I think she's trying to get back in. There she is. Chris, what are your highlights?
I'm here, Olive. I am here. I was listening.
What are your highlights? Bearing in mind there's a delay between here and Wombra.
My highlights.
What are your highlights?
I know. Sorry, I do apologise.
Speaks volumes.
I think on the pitch it was Harry's goal at Gillingham. Off the pitch, it's the away trips. It's always a giggle going on the coaches and things like that. We always have a good time, no matter maybe going more than we coming home, but yes. And the 85-86, that was
it was great,
absolutely fabulous. So, and of course definitely. These lovely people who answer emails and quotes questions all the time. Can you come on the panel? So I thank you all.
We do indeed. Thank you very much indeed. And there are several messages coming in. Thank you all very much for those messages. We should say that actually we're going to have a Monday off next Monday because it's a bank holiday. But we will then come back. I think we're going to do the... Oh, Chris is looking like that. I think we're going to do a memories on the sofa very soon, aren't we? Because we started to do that last Monday before Brian Kilcline joined us for a... How can I put this? Entertaining session, I think it's fair to say. So we're going to do that in a couple of weeks' time. He was brilliant. I have to say, if you haven't watched that,
very interesting conversation. Yeah. Yes,
and also, Chris, hang on.
Sorry,
I'm
delayed.
Chris.
I know it's
hang
a pain.
on, Chris. Wait there. This is from Ian. Well done, Chris, on your fans in training at Foundation Park. You're a legend now. So how about that?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so we will do a memories one, and I'm sorry I'm delayed. It's living in a village. It's not good. So if anybody has any memories that they actually want to send in, or they want to actually come on and go through what their memories are, their first game, how they got into watching Swindon, anything like that, please let us know, and we'll arrange that for the following Monday. It will be out on socials as well. So
Thank you, and very good night. And thank you all
Thanks,
very
Vic,
much for your.
organising us.
Yeah, thanks, both of you. Yeah,
Thanks for hosting.
been really good.
Yeah, both of you.
Well, we appreciate your help every week. So thank you all very much indeed. And fingers crossed for 24-25, eh? That's all you can ask for.
Exactly.
Good night.
Bye all.
All right, see ya.
Right.
exactly. Okay. Good night.